Hi, folks. This is Rick Doc Walker, the DOC.
This is John Kime, and you're listening to the Mess Hall with Rally Captain and Tailgate Ted.
What's going on, Rally?
Hey,
How you doing, man?
Hey, bro, you tell me. You're the one who's jet setting and all over the place. Come on, man. Give up the deets. We want to hear the deets, brother. But other than that, I'm good. It's on you now.
Man, I'm good. I'm not gonna lie. I'm relaxed, man. It was nice to unplug.
What? Tailgate Ted relaxed? I can't believe it.
It doesn't happen much. It definitely doesn't happen much. But people were giving me a hard time because I jumped on social media the second I got back on dry land. For those of you who don't know, I went on a cruise with Mrs. Tailgate. We did not get the Wi-Fi package or the internet. I had no access to the outside world, except I found out that iMessage works on the boat, even if you didn't sign up for the internet. So I guess that's a little loophole. So shout out to Brian Hall and our boy Tim Meek, because I texted them, because you could still get notifications on your phone, but if I tried to click on something, it didn't say anything. So when like Commander Twitter blew up because Sam Howell got traded, thinking, what just happened? So I texted Brian and Tim, knowing they both had iPhones. I was going to text you, but you don't got one. So I hit them up. It's like, hey, what did I miss? What's going on? So then they just, it was a whole long thing about them trying to catch me up on it. But I'm gonna lie, man, it was nice. We had a nice 7-day cruise, went to 4 different ports. We had a butler that walked us everywhere we wanted to go. Didn't have to wait in line.
Butler.
Oh yeah, man, 24/7 butler. We all you can eat, all you can drink. So smoky old fashions, basically at 10 o'clock in the morning till midnight, hanging out at the nightclub till 2 a.m. So it was a good time, man.
Wow, you were tall cotton, boy. Man, a butler just escorted you around. You probably had your pinky in the air, passing all the lower level people.
Oh, dude, they were pissed. So you ever been on a cruise?
I have been on one, but it was just a small little cruise. Nothing, I'm sure, what you did. So I didn't have a butler or anything. I had to wait in Gen Pop like everybody else.
So the people in Gen Pop, the last day, basically cursed us out because you got a guy that has a sign up that's holding up the sign that basically says the name of the place that we're staying on the boat. And you just get to walk past everybody. So when you're coming back into port and you're all trying to board the ship at the same time, he literally just cuts in front of all these people that have been waiting in line to get back on the boat and then makes room for you. So you're already getting like evil stares at that point. All those people were just pissed.
So let me find out that cruise lines basically have pre-check or clear that you can skip the line.
Oh yeah.
That's what it's like.
You got to pay for it, right? I mean, it has nothing to do with like a background check or anything like that. But yeah, and you just skip the line. You just literally, the last day we're all disembarking, getting off the boat. There are thousands of people waiting in line, going up and down, trying to get off. We had a private elevator. They brought us down that, and then they had
just stop.
It was a good time, man. I'm not gonna lie. It's the way to go.
We're gonna talk offline because obviously that's what I need. I've gotten spoiled with Clear at the airport, and so and I even had a fast pass at an amusement park. So I mean, where it was very busy and you could just bypass everybody and go straight to the front of the line. So I gotta know what package this is so that when I do it, it's going to be just like that. And I don't mind spending the money because, while you're out jet setting and doing the whole Love Boat thing, hey, the captain was grinding. And that's one thing that in the off season, that's what I do. I grind. And as everybody that knows me, they know that the money that's made this year goes towards next year's travel, not this year's travel, but next year's travel. So I'm putting it in the bank to be able to travel for next year. So I'm grinding in the off season. But man, you had a ball.
Oh, it was a blast, man. You're wearing a Cap shirt. I'm wearing a Cap shirt. I'm actually going to go to the game tonight. Let's just say this: I'm not drinking tonight. I drank way too much on the cruise, so I'm taking some time off from that. That's how much fun we had. So It's a good time though.
Nice. Love to hear it, brother. We all need a break like that, and I tell everybody, traveling is one of the best therapies that you can ever have.
Yeah, amen. I mean, I don't do it enough. And if those of you looking to travel, make sure you hit up Rally Captain and sbevents.net because the man's got some nice packages on there for travel that you can take. And obviously, I was just trying to live my Rally Captain life, being front row VIP everywhere I go. So, just following in your footsteps, man.
Well, okay. All right, I'll take that. I'll take that one. I'll take that one.
But
Oh
speaking of
boy.
footsteps, we got a couple Commanders free agents, starters that are no longer here. And I'm curious, which one are you most shocked to see go? So those of you, I mean, if you listen to this podcast, odds are you know who's gone, but we'll just review it. Curtis Samuel went to the Bills, right?
Hmm.
AG went to the Pats. So
Yeah.
did Jacoby Brissett. Kendall Fuller went to the Dolphins. Cody Barton went to the Broncos. Sadiq Charles went to the Titans. And Cam Curl went to the Rams. And this isn't counting Sam because Sam got traded, not that he wasn't re-signed. So which one of those guys, actually throw Sam in there, are you most shocked to see not come back? That Peters and them decided, nah, you don't fit.
Cam Curl. I mean, I really am. Everybody else, well, I take that back. I'm kind of surprised that Kendall Fuller, and I got to give you two. I can't just give you one. But if I had to go 1A, 1B, I would say definitely Kendall Fuller and then Cam Curl. I thought that they would be around.
Yeah, I mean, I'm shocked that Cam didn't stick around considering what he signed for. He ended up signing a 2-year deal with a $9 million base and a maximum of $13 million.
Hmm.
So it's not a ton of money. And earlier on during the season, we talked about it, what Cam was going to potentially go for. And they were talking about, maybe 3 years, 40 million. He obviously didn't get that. And the market changed drastically because there were a bunch of safeties that were out there. And according to a team source, I think that was anonymous, and this is from an article in the Washington Post, they didn't offer Curl an actual deal. They didn't even try and sign him and bring him back. They believe that Jeremy Chin would be a better fit at box safety for its new defensive scheme. So Jeremy Chin came to us. Let me see where he was prior. Jeremy was with the Panthers, and
Hmm.
he played 12 games last year. Chin signed a 1-year, $5.1 million deal. And for those of you that probably don't remember or don't know, he was basically up for Defensive Rookie of the Year the same time Chase was back in, what was that, 19 or 20, whenever we got those guys on the team.
Yeah, 20.
So I was kind of, I mean, I've never really followed Chin. Obviously, he's a Panther. And the last thing I want is another Panther on our team after all the Commanders that Ron brought here. But knowing
Yeah.
that Chin had this potential, his PFF grade the year prior was a 57.7. His grade the year prior to that was a 54.9. So you could say he was kind of on the rise compared to where he was before, but it's kind of a 1-year prove it deal that they signed with him. So, you don't have to wait and see what's actually going to happen. Maybe you can bring in, draft someone else. They've got Quinn in there. And from a projected starter standpoint, from a depth chart perspective, they have Chin slated on an unofficial depth chart to be that actual starting safety. So actually, no, they've
Yeah.
got Forrest in front of him and they got Chin behind.
Hmm.
So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I kind of agree with you on Fuller too. I'm guessing it just doesn't match system wise with Fuller. I'm not too sure why they let him walk.
Well, Fuller was getting he was a little slower with his age. I mean, he could still play, but he was a little slower. I think that as we all say, trust the process. Obviously, they see something that we as the fans don't see, which at this juncture I'm okay with. Show
Yeah.
me something new. Show me something new, and it looks as if based upon everybody that they've signed. Obviously, this is going to be a new revamped team with a bunch of new faces and names, which I'm okay with. I'll just have to try to relearn them. But man, the fact of the matter is, it looks as though they want people who want to truly play football, and I'm not sure if the guys who were here loved the game. It seems like they may have liked it, or as you said, they didn't fit the scheme. Whatever the case may be, they saw something in them and allowed them to walk, to
Yeah.
bring in these other players. So I'm actually good to go with it, and I'm ready to see how we build and truthfully what scheme we're going to run here shortly in the next couple of months.
Yeah, Kendall was an 8-year corner. So I mean, it's not like he's that old. His PFF grade overall was an 83.1 last year. That actually is his second highest his entire career, other than 2017 when he was with Washington and he got a 90.6. And after that, he went to Kansas City because he was getting paid out there. So I'm just a little surprised because right now you got what, BSJ and you got Forbes.
Hmm.
Sorry, but I don't really have a ton of faith in Forbes right now. So we'll see what happens there. And BSJ hasn't stayed healthy. So to let Kendall walk, but I've got faith that Peters knows what he's doing. So I'm going to have to just trust him. And if you compare Cam Curl's grade to Jeremy Chin, Curl got an overall 66.6 PFF grade, and Chin ended up getting a 57.7. So they must think he's just a better fit in Dan
Hmm.
Quinn's system than Cam is, because I don't know that actually. Yeah, Chin's deal's 1 year, 5.1 million, and Curl signed $9 million. So is it a $4 million difference between those two? I don't know, but I was shocked to see one of those guys go. I mean, Curtis Samuel, you kind of thought the writing was on the wall.
Yeah.
AG,
Yeah.
okay. Brissett getting let go. All right, fine. Not really let go, but not re-signed. And it was actually, I think, JP Finley. So one thing, coming back on the trip, it took us, we were maybe at the airport for 12 hours. So I got to catch
Hmm.
up. Oh, yeah. It was Southwest. They're not a sponsor of the show, but if you guys want a sponsor, I'll delete this. But yeah, they hoard Mrs. Tailgate and I. I'm still getting text messages about my suitcase being missing, even though I picked it up that night just on a
Oh,
different
wow.
flight. So gave me 12 hours to catch up on all the B. Mitch and Finley episodes and all the Beltway football pods that I missed just sitting at the airport. And note to self and any of you guys out there, do not go to Orlando during spring break, because talk
Oh.
about just packed with every softball tournament, cheerleading tournament, little kids screaming because they don't want to go home and they want to stay and see Mickey. I mean, thank God for noise canceling headphones, man, because oh, it was crazy.
I can believe it, and part of me believes that you've got a pair of Mickey Mouse ears somewhere as well. So I don't blame it on those kids. I know you're saying, Miss Tailgate, please, just, can we have one more day? But man, yeah, that sounds awful. It's like when you get on a plane and that kid is behind you. It's either crying or kicking your seat. Yeah,
Oh yeah,
you don't want that. So, but the good thing
no, it
about
was
Southwest is you got to pick your own seat. So if you saw that, you could move.
that is not so. When you fly Southwest, this is we're going on a tangent. Do
Yeah.
you and Mrs. Raleigh get your own reservations, or does she book it on her own? And you guys do that little A-list preferred that you can sign up for?
Well, first off, how dare you ask me what Mrs. Captain does when Mr. Captain owns the travel company? Come on,
Okay.
brother. She doesn't lift a finger. I do all the hard work.
So see, I refuse to pay that extra. What does it come down to, like $80 to get that
You talking about?
A-list preferred?
Oh no,
So
no, 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 no. I don't do A-list preferred.
yeah.
But what happens is Southwest they throw me a lot of bones, and
I mean,
so
you travel a ton, so yeah.
yeah, I take them up on it. Definitely.
Nah, that makes sense. Because if one person does it, both people have to do it. So
Exactly.
she books her flight
Not
and I book mine.
necessarily. Not necessarily. And for those who don't fly Southwest or those who do, you know that uh you can board hypothetically, and you know your spouse or loved one or whatever have you can board B or C, all you got to do is put a backpack down and next to you and say this seat is taken, and the person will bypass you. So all you need is
Sometimes
just one. All you need is one.
one person told the wife, because I was boarding B, she was boarding A. One person
Uh-huh.
told the wife, well, he's not here, is he? She said I was in the bathroom. She said, well, he's not sitting down. So she came up and took the seat. So, I mean, yeah,
Ooh.
it's those,
Hey,
it
Steve.
is what it is. So, but that wasn't this trip. But
All right. Okay.
you think Sam Howell flew Southwest out to Seattle?
No, I'm sure they put him on a PJ, or if they
You
didn't
think
put
a
him on a
PJ
PJ,
for Sam?
or if they didn't put him on a PJ, he was first class somewhere. Or Sam may be the type of dude eating chicken nuggets and Coach, bro. I mean that's just it's gonna get me there. It's gonna get me there. It's gonna get me there. So
Well, he
whether I'm in
hasn't
the
gotten
front or
paid
the back,
yet. So,
yeah. So he could be playing Coach, bro. I mean, we saw Dan Quinn flying what is it, American going back someplace.
yeah,
So
out of DCA. But were you
mhm.
shocked to see that we traded Sam or,
Not
and
really. Not
no?
really. I mean, I felt it was going to happen, just simply because they didn't help the kid out at all. And there's just this thing when new coaches come in, you know as well as I do, they want who they want. They don't want a stepchild, so to speak. They want to have their own baby. They want to be able to nurture it, feed it from growth, from inception, and go from there and get old with them or cast them off. That's what almost any new head coach does. We don't want to be stuck with that. And so, not to knock the kid, but I feel that if Sam had better things around him, that he would be a great guy. Well, I'm sure that they thought the same, but that just wasn't their baby. You know what I mean? And so
Yeah, I mean, there's no
they
loyalty.
just
They
weren't gonna
didn't
keep him.
draft him.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's
So
no reason to keep him. But I'm actually no knock on Sam, right? I still got a Sam Howell shirt that we got from a sponsor and some other stuff. It just he was a fifth round pick, but
mhm,
we ended up getting a ton more for Sam than the Bears got for Justin Fields,
they were
right?
done.
I mean, it's just I was shocked. That's why I'm wondering.
Yeah.
That's why I was texting with Brian and Tim. The Seahawks got Sam. They got a fourth round pick from us and a sixth round pick. We moved up and got a third round pick, number 78, and a fifth round pick, number 152. So we got now another third on top of this. So we now have 6 picks in the top 100 and 9 picks overall. So kudos to Peters for getting what they got for
Yeah.
trading Sam, because I don't know who we're drafting at 2. I want us to draft Jaden Daniels, but it also would have been awkward if they would have taken Drake May, considering him and Sam were teammates. But a lot of people, like JP Finley being one of them, are saying because they signed Marcus Mariota and Mariota fits more of a Jaden Daniels style offense, that kind of gives you a clue as to who they're going to take it to, where Brissett was kind of more of a journeyman quarterback that's got similar traits to Drake May. Do you think there's any legitimacy to that, or are people just kind of fishing?
I think it's a little bit of both. No one except for the ones at the top really know. And truthfully, I think that if given the right bait, that could change, possibly. So uh we don't know what's going on behind closed doors. And if they throw them a ton of somethings for to drop down, which I don't think that they would, but hey man, you just never know. That's one thing that I will say. You never know, and that's why you also say never say never. But the general consensus is that, like you said, it'll be Daniels, or it'll be the kid from LSU, not
Right.
LSU, but from
Yeah, Carolina.
North Carolina. Yeah. So, but then guess what? Caleb may rub Chicago the wrong way. I mean, while we're taping this, apparently he's had his pro day. So, and I haven't heard any type of results of what he looked like, but apparently a Chicago receiver went to his pro day. So, you do the math, but the kid has a lot of either rumors working against him, which the Chicago may say we don't want that in our locker room. Yeah, you've got all this talent, but we don't want that because I've heard a lot of rumors, and that's all I can say is rumors.
Yeah.
That he wants stocks, he wants part ownership, he wants all this type of stuff. I don't know how true it is, but if that's true, it leaves ownerships kind of scratching their head and saying, do we really want this type of headache with us? And I don't know if a team would want that. I mean, if you were the owner and a kid is coming in, if this what they're saying is true, and the kid is coming to you with all these demands, how would you feel about that?
You're just a player. There's nothing you can do about it unless you want to pull an Eli and bitch and scream that you don't want to play with the Chargers. And he hasn't
Hmm.
said anything like that. And he said that he is open to going anywhere and playing for the Bears. And I did think it was kind of odd that Keenan Allen is the Bears receiver that you were talking about that was there for his pro day. I mean, he literally shows up in Bears gear at that point. But I just can't see them not taking Caleb because if there was a potential that Caleb wasn't going to be there, then I don't think they let go of Justin Fields for a bag of peanuts. Right. I think they maybe try and hold
Hmm.
on to him or maybe move back and do something and get, Marvin Harrison Jr. for them. But it is interesting. I met some people on the boat just talking with them, just shooting the ass. There was a guy there with a Bears hat on,
Hmm.
and we're just hanging out by the pool, just having a drink. It's like, can you please draft Caleb? And he said, I don't want him. I don't
Oh,
want that kid here. He seems like a head case. I don't want to have to start all over again. I'd rather stick it with Fields. And I'm saying the same thing. I don't want Caleb coming here because I don't think he'd be a good fit here. And I'm hoping that Chicago makes it easy on us and we don't have to worry about it because if for whatever reason he drops to us, I can't see Kingsbury letting him go. And I know Kingsbury's not making the pick, but Kingsbury was with Caleb over at USC. So, you
right.
can see it happening. I don't want the local kid coming back to town anymore. It's not a storyline that I'm a favor of, but I know the NFL Network's going to be re-airing his pro day tonight at 8 o'clock. So,
Okay,
you
cool.
know, get a chance to watch that and catch that. But
Yeah, I'll dial in for that.
we did bring in Marcus Mariota, and
Yeah.
I'm not exactly excited about it. It has nothing to do with the fact that he was an Eagle last year, but I just don't like how that whole Falcons thing happened a couple of years ago. And basically, they made Desmond Ritter the starter, and Mariota kind of walked out on his team. Out of all the signings they made, and they made a ton, they signed 20 players, right? We actually signed the most players out of any team during free agency. Three of those guys were commanders that they let actual contracts expire, but 20 guys they brought in. The one that drives me the craziest that I'm kind of shaking my head is Mariota. And maybe it's just because, I think they said they wanted Sam Darnold, but Darnold went to the Vikings. So I don't know if that happened before or after timeline wise. And, obviously Kirk wasn't coming here. They weren't going to pay him all that money. He went to the Falcons.
No.
And we do play the Falcons at home this year. So we get to see Kirk come back to DC again. So that'll be interesting. But out of the free agents that we brought in, I got a list of them here. There's a lot of them. We'll go down a
Yeah.
couple of them.
Hmm.
I'm curious to hear which one you're most excited for. So we picked up Zach Ertz. Zach actually played under Kingsbury. He only played 7 games last year, though. But I think they want that veteran tight end. They let Logan Thomas go. So I think they want
Hmm.
that veteran tight end to teach John Bates and all the other guys on the team just how it's done. They signed Dorrance Armstrong, who played with Dan Quinn before from the Cowboys. He
Hmm.
played 19 games last year. So he's been pretty solid, had a 69.6 PFF grade. They signed center Tyler Biadasz. He played 19 games last year. He started all but 2 games the past 3 seasons, allowing only 3 sacks, and he was in the Pro Bowl in 2022. We haven't had a starting center that's been rock solid since Chase Rouye his first couple of years. So
Well,
that one
well,
I'm
well,
hyped for.
well, wasn't Biotizy, wasn't he a backup though, an alternate, and that's how he got into the Pro Bowl? I mean, I don't want to take anything away from it or bring on anyone's parade, but he wasn't like he was a first string, first ballot Hall of Famer. I think he got in back door, tiptoed due to somebody getting hurt or something like that, or backing out during the playoffs, or it wasn't. Not to say that he's not good,
Yeah.
and by all means, I like the kid because that lets you know if he's an alternate that he did something right, but I don't think that he was a first team ballot Hall of Famer. I
So
don't think
yeah, Pro Bowler. It could have been because
the
who
Pro
knows?
Bowler. Yeah,
Maybe in 2022, maybe someone else got selected that made it to the Super Bowl and they wanted
yeah,
out. But
yeah.
in
But I'll
22,
take it.
his PFF grade in 22 for pass blocking was 64.3 and run
Hmm.
blocking was a 58. Last year, he got a 64.6 and run blocking was a 68. I mean, he only allowed 3 sacks. The past couple of years, he played total offensive snaps over 1,100 the past 3 years
Yeah,
each. So I mean, he's
I like that.
playing.
Durable.
Yeah,
He's
yeah,
durable.
exactly.
Yeah,
And that's what we need. I mean, Gates.
experience,
Yeah,
experience. Yeah,
Gates didn't work out here. You had Larson that was hurt. You had Rouye that was hurt. I mean, we need some validity there, and we can't have a rookie center with a rookie quarterback. That's just not something that anybody wants to see.
yeah.
Another big signing is Frankie Louvu. Frankie was with the Panthers. He had 18 games last year. His PFF grade was an 80. A lot of people are saying that that is potentially the best signing that the Commanders did at that point because the guy has a ton of upside. Says the former Panthers linebacker signed a 3-year deal with a max value of $36 million. A person with knowledge of the deal said Louvu first signed with the Jets as an undrafted free agent in 18, bounced on and off the roster practice squad. In 22, he finished with 111 tackles, 7 sacks, a pick 6, 4 passes defended, 1 forced fumble. Last season, he had 125 tackles, 5.5 sacks, 11 quarterback hits, 2 forced fumbles. He's regarded as one of the league's top pass rushing linebackers. He's got 43 quarterback pressures and 62 run stops. So PFF basically says that he's one of the best out there. And to add to that, they brought in Bobby Wagner.
Hmm.
Wagner signed a 1-year deal. Wagner's a freaking stud. I mean, he's been in the league for a while. His lowest total was 104 tackles in 2014. And that was only playing 11 games. Last year, he had 183 tackles. He
What I like
hasn't he hasn't missed a game since 2018.
what I like about Wagner is he has a nose for the football and how to find it. That's what I like, and he's a solid tackler. That's what I like. You asked me who I was surprised about. I'm actually surprised about Luvu. I really want to see him. And what I like about the other guy was Armstrong. He worked under Quinn. He knows what Quinn is looking for, and truthfully, Quinn needs an ally because
Yeah.
when things kind of get rough, he may be able to not necessarily snitch per se, but he may be able to say, "Hey, coach, he ain't putting in the work," or he isn't doing this, or from what we're used to, it takes someone like that to be able to get on somebody's butt because let's face it, Payne and Allen can't do it all. And so, even though they're our top stud tackles, they can't do it all.
No.
And Armstrong being under Quinn on the defensive side can tell you, now, fellas, you're not going hard enough. Or that's what I like out of all these veterans. All of them have strong motors, man. All of them have a strong work ethic. We won't be hearing any of this. Coach left us after practice, by 5:30 when we're supposed to get up at 5. I don't think we're going to be hearing that. I think at this juncture, put up or shut up, and I just don't feel that we have ever had that here. They may have talked about it, but I really don't think that we had that here. And I could be wrong. I wasn't in the locker room. I wasn't on the field. It just seemed that way. And I hate to say that, but that's what it felt like. But these guys seem as though with this new staff, a new mindset. They're coming into play. They know how hard Coach Quinn is, and they know that he'll have your back if you have his back. And he's a fire starter, and we didn't have that fire starter mentality these last couple years. Whereas I really believe it. Now, granted, nothing has happened on the field as of yet, and this could all be for naught. But it just feels as though right now that we have upgraded 100%.
I mean, linebacker has been an issue here since London Fletcher.
Yeah.
And Bobby Wagner reminds me of London Fletcher. The guy is just a tackling machine.
Agreed.
When London got here, he was 32 years old, and he still played a ton of seasons with us. Bobby's 33 right now, and I think he might be turning 34. I'm not too sure if that's 100% correct, but we had holes at linebacker. Cody Barton walked so long. Goodbye. We did not have an outside linebacker. The only linebacker we really have is Jamin Davis at that point. So on looking at the Commanders depth chart, outside linebacker is completely empty, right? Just this is ridiculous just looking at all the holes we have, right? On the Commanders depth chart. For defensive end, we got holes there. Just starters. Outside linebacker, nothing. Cornerback, third cornerback, nothing. Strong safety, nothing. So now they filled in Dorrance Armstrong, left defensive end. They're projecting him to be a starter. Clellan Ferrell, right defensive end. They're projecting him to be a starter. Bobby Wagner, starting middle linebacker. Frankie Louvu, starting strong side linebacker. Michael Davis, they're talking about him being starting right corner, right? They're filling in all these holes that Rivera left us with. There's a reason why we had to sign, 17 free agents, because Rivera left the cupboard bare. We didn't have a single defensive end under contract other than guys that were rookies prior. And it's just crazy how just malpractice that last regime was. And granted, the Martys are still here. So who knows if Mayhew actually had a chance to really mold it, but I'm trusting these guys to really fill these in. And the good thing is the longest contract is 3 years. So we've heard sound bites of Peters talking about how he wants to build to the draft. He's finding stopgaps inside here where he's not signed these guys to long-term deals. Was it Louvu's a 3-year deal, $31 million, right? Armstrong's a 3-year deal, $33 million. Zach Ertz, a 1-year deal, right? Allegretti, supposed to be our competing for left guard. He's a 3-year, $16 million deal. Biadasz is a 3-year, $29 million deal. So it gives them a chance to still bring in guys. And with all the free agents we signed, we still have $56.1 million in cap space. So best believe there's going to be some June 1 cuts where they're going to be looking to bring in some other veterans. So that's actually the most cap space in the league with everyone else. And it's not hamstringing us for 2025. Who knows? Maybe Jaden Daniels hits. Maybe it's like a CJ Stroud and we're the Texans and we get to sniff the playoffs, or we actually get in and do something. Then maybe they take that big swing at a high price free agent. Because none of these guys I'd say were the top 10 free agents that were out there, but they're solid players. And it's refreshing to see them execute their game plan. Because before I feel like it was all talk. Now it's all action.
Yeah. So I was debating with a guy on, I don't remember what social platform it was, but he's like, yeah, you guys signed a bunch of mid players. And I said, well, okay, but I'll take these mid players with the upside that they have. We ain't scraping the bottom of the barrel, or I don't feel as though we're going to try to change their position. We knew off the break that Cody Barton was coming from Seattle last year. We knew he was, for all intents and purposes, trash. I mean, and I hate to talk about somebody that I don't play that position, but his play on the field, we saw it. And so we knew that just wasn't going to be a good fit, and he wasn't. Whereas, as I said, he was taking wrong gaps to try to get the ball or being blocked. Whereas, as I said, Wagner's been in the league as long as he's been in the league. But the thing is, because he's been in the league as long as he he takes the right angles. He knows where, or he can anticipate where the ball will be, where it seemed as though my man would just run a hole and just hope that somebody would be there. Whereas Wagner seems as though he's got the girth to be able to fight somebody off and smell out where the ball is. That's what he's done his whole career. What makes anybody think that he's not going to do that here?
I mean,
Yeah.
People that are knocking the Bobby Wagner signing, I don't think they realize how bad this team has been in regards to linebacker. Like, linebacker has just been an issue for us forever. So he's here. Him at 33 years old is going to be better than any of the guys we got on here. And you talk about leadership, he'll give this defense an identity. No offense to John Allen, but you hear him talk to the sports junkies when he's on there. He's not really a vocal captain. He's not that guy that's getting in people's faces and just regulating. I can see Bobby completely changing that. And talking about who I'm most excited for, I'd have to say on offense, I'm most excited for Tyler Biadasz. I'm excited to have a true center here.
Okay.
I mean, we have been lacking in the trenches. Our offensive line has been Swiss cheese. The fact that Nick Gates was their solution that got benched at that point, and your other option at center, just looking at the Commanders' depth chart right now, their unofficial depth chart for offensive line, all they have right now is Chris Paul at left guard, Sam Cosmi, and Andrew Wiley. We didn't have a starting center. Now you got a stud, potentially center coming in, and you've got Ricky Stromberg behind him. So you got a chance at doing stuff. I mean, this offensive line was a major issue. And I'm excited to see Bobby Wagner on defense, because maybe he'll be that spark that Jamin needs to actually learn how to be a pro and learn how to be a linebacker, because I think it's unfair that Jamin was put in. Okay, you're playing Mike. Okay, you're playing weak. Oh, you're wearing the green dot. No, we're taking away from you. Now you know who's getting that green dot. You know who's in charge, who's captain of that defense. It's Bobby. There are no questions about that. So maybe it frees Jamin up to just run downhill and go.
Smell the football out and go eat. I mean, that's and he's fast enough to be able to do that. I go back to what we said before. We've got a blank canvas that is just dying to be painted, and it's evolving right here in front of our faces, man. And everybody's excited. And even I don't want to. Let's just say that we don't do well this season. Everyone knows that for once they see what the upside can be. I think that is one of the biggest drives that people have. We know where we came from. We see what the players that we're drafting or that we recruited, and now it's being put into fruition. Brother, I'm excited. I really am.
Too. So which offensive player and which defensive player are you most excited free agent wise that we picked up?
Offense, I'd have to go with you got to have somebody who knows what they're doing and that's his true position. And I started to talk about it a few seconds ago, but we aren't bringing him in as a center and then, position flex, let's move him as a guard. We're not doing that. And that's one of the things that I'm happy it's gone away. I really am. I'm happy about that. So I hate to echo you, but I mean, if you asked me that first, I would have said that as well. Because he touches the ball every play. Yeah. You've got to know what your coverages are, what they're looking at to call out, like as you said, for that young quarterback, or even an experienced quarterback. You need him to be able to do that. As far as defense, like I said, Luvu, I'm very interested to see how he makes the defense better and provides the spark that we need. He's very interesting, and like you, I didn't watch a ton of Panthers football, or matter of fact, any Panthers football. But when you read everything that they say about him, and you go to YouTube and look at a couple of his of those Panthers games, kid's all over the place, man. He's
Yeah.
freaking all over the place, and he's not afraid to stick his nose out and put his nose in there and get his uniform dirty. That's what I like.
Yeah. I mean, he had 111 tackles in 22, 125 tackles in 23. Right. I mean, the kid is young. He's on the come up. He had 7 sacks in 22, 5.5 in 23. So I mean, it's exciting to see a real linebacker come in here. And
Hmm.
just looking at Jamin Davis's stats compared, I don't think it's anywhere close. I mean, Jamin had 89 tackles last year and 3 sacks and 104 in 22. So we have true studs at that actual spot now. And we don't have to rely on these journeymen. No offense to Khaleke Hudson and some of these other guys, but they wouldn't be starting on another team. So that can't be your game plan to see what's coming in here. And hopefully Luvu proves what he needs to be. And in the meantime, guess what? We can draft some other linebackers to kind of come up behind him. And when Bobby's getting a little too old, long in the tooth, I got no doubt that Peters is going to fill that gap as well. So it's nice to see the foundation that they're trying to build here. And they're
Hmm.
not 5-year deals. They're not 6-year deals. We're not breaking the bank trying to bring all
Right.
these guys in. They're bringing these guys in not as a stopgap, but to also help us win. And I think fans need to also remind themselves we won 4 games last year. I mean, it was bad. And I'm not saying that we brought all these guys in and we're going to the playoffs or we're winning the East because it hasn't been a repeat winner, but we're going to get a chance to compete because these guys are competitors. And best be sure that, I mean, Ken Norton Jr. is going to get the linebackers ready. I mean, he coached Bobby before when he was in Seattle.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of these guys, and some people were complaining about it. It's the whole Commander thing because Austin Eckler, we didn't even talk about him. He's coming in and running back, going to be beside Brian Robinson. He was with Anthony Lynn, right? Clellan Ferrell, Adam Peters brought him in here from the 49ers. Marcus Mariota was with Brian Johnson and the Eagles prior. But Brian Johnson's our assistant head coach and passing game coordinator. So obviously you want a quarterback there that knows the system that's also going to be able to help translate that to the young quarterback that's coming in. Basically, another coach inside there standing beside him. So fans that are knocking the fact that they're kind of doing the same thing that the Rivera regime did, don't look at it that way. These are actually real coaches bringing in players that were good. The Cowboys were 12-5 the past 3 seasons. We're stealing from our division rival and making them weaker.
Hmm. Definitely. And also, for whatever reason, Ron just didn't have that umph anymore. And you can feel that umph from this new regime. Now, I don't know if whether he's just tired of coaching, but it showed. And when you have the people that are coming in now, you need fire. And Ron didn't have fire. He got fired, but he didn't have fire. These guys are bringing fire. And I just feel as though every play they're going to get the best out of these individuals. Not only that, I truly believe that if you mess up, Ted, I got to tell you, I believe if you mess up, you're going to be sitting.
Yeah.
You're gonna be sitting. I feel that. I never felt that way before. I just felt that okay, you messed up. All right, those guys. There was no accountability, so to speak. Whereas now, I feel as though you mess up, there's a chance you're gonna be sitting, and
I mean,
you're gonna be looking at what you did wrong, and then putting you back out there a little bit later.
how long did it take for them to get rid of Cheeseman? I mean, they didn't want to do anything with that.
Hmm.
He was the lowest graded special teamer in the entire NFL. But because they traded up in the draft to get him, they don't want to look stupid. I mean, Adam Peters drafted a quarterback. And guess who's starting for him? Right? Brock freaking Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant. He saw that that guy wasn't the right guy. Granted, he wasn't the sole person in charge over there, but they realized that they made a mistake. So it's next man up who actually is going to compete for it. Rivera never should have had full control, but there was nothing they could do about it because no one wanted to come here. So they had to give him full control to get a coach.
Whatever he wanted, basically. Yeah.
Adam Peters is in charge.
And he ain't playing that.
No.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. It's a breath of fresh air. And truthfully, we as fans, and I know it's hard to do, we as fans need to try our best to get out of that old regime, that old mindset. But it's been on our backs for such a long time. It's almost like we don't know anything better. It's like the dog when you spank the dog with a newspaper, and anytime you pick the newspaper up, the dog he's startled. That's how we are as fans until we start putting some winning games as well as seasons underneath our belt, and we don't have to worry about that. We've got to, just like the pet owner hits you with the newspaper. Well, now you've gone to a new owner, and the new owner picks up the paper, but they're not hitting you with it. They're actually reading it. And that's where we are. We've been scarred. So we're just like, oh, that ain't going to work, or this, that, and the other. Just sit back, let them do what they're going to do. And in time, we will see what's going to happen. And I feel as though it's definitely in the right direction. Like you, I'm not saying Super Bowl or anything like that, but it's in the right direction.
Yeah, I'm over fans that are crying, and this isn't to make a joke, but they're saying on social media, we've got PTSD from the Snyder era. So they're not giving the new ownership group the benefit of the doubt yet. They've got PTSD from the Rivera era or whatever it may be. And it just, to me, you can't compare what's happening now to that. The past is the past. It's over with. No sense in crying over. And that's just the outlook I have. I mean, I wanted to do this show with you, not this one today, but just the podcast in general, because you are always super positive and glass half full. And I'm been a little more realistic / half empty, if you want to go there. But right now, all that stuff that happened before, man, it is just over with. And what these guys are doing, we have not had a true general manager here in decades. And I want to ask you what your grade is for Adam Peters, because Pro Football Focus gave their grade for Adam Peters. But what would you give Peters' grade so far with really this first couple rounds of free agency going through?
B plus. I give him B plus. He saw the reason why I give him that grade is because he didn't break the bank on has-been players, and we're just going to call it what it is, as we've done in the past. He didn't do that. He didn't bring in, if you will, top players to also break the bank. He brought in players that know how to play football in those positions. And there's no divas. It doesn't seem like there are any me. It seems as though it's all about team with these guys. All of them. I haven't seen any true Cinderellas, if you will. These guys actually feel is that they talk about, packing your lunchbox and taking your lunch to work and toting the pail and all that type of stuff. Well, that's what I see with these guys. These are solid signings. And for once, the holes are being plugged with solid people, a bunch of solid people, not just one here or one there. All these guys are solid. And I'm going to continue to use that word throughout the season until they prove me wrong. They are solid. And like the song says, we're solid as a rock. And we're going to build it up and build it up. And now we're solid. And that's what I feel. So I'm going to say a B plus right now. And after the draft, or even maybe bringing in more players we can revisit, he may even go to an A plus, because I'm sure that the analytics guy is in his ear. I'm sure that Quinn, I'm sure that Kingsbury, everybody is in his ear. to do the right thing and get the right pieces for this puzzle. And I feel, Ted, that they're competent. They're just not trying to just shoot for anything. They're competent, and it seems that they're very strategic of what they're doing and how they're doing it. And so that's why I give them a B plus.
Yeah, I agree with you. I want to give them a B plus. Pro Football Focus actually gave them an A. And they don't give out grades really that high all the time. And it says here, Armstrong is a proven perfect fit with new Commanders head coach Dan Quinn, who immediately helped him take his game to new heights upon arriving in Dallas 3 years ago. Washington could still stand to make another move at edge rusher with Armstrong more a rotational piece than a top guy, but linebacker Frankie Louvu also adds another pass rush element. Eckler brings the pass catching element to Washington, which lost Antonio Gibson in free agency to the Patriots. Eckler's pairing with Brian Robinson is a perfect complement of skills in the backfield. The Washington Commanders joined the New England Patriots as a team picking in the top 3 of the draft that probably doesn't want a young player backing up a top draft pick, with Jacoby Brissett and Mariota now serving as bridges to the future. Mariota was the number 2 overall pick in 2015 and can now mentor the number 2 pick in 2024. In addition, his athleticism and mobility paired with a big arm is the profile of quarterback Cliff Kingsbury likes to work with. So, I mean, they're giving him an A. To me, it's too soon to give him an A because we don't know how these free agents are going to play here. We don't know what's going to happen. You know, we brought in Nick Gates and a bunch of linemen before and just other guys that did absolutely nothing here. But if you compare Austin Eckler and Antonio Gibson, I'd rather have Austin Eckler. No offense to AG, but he wasn't a real running back. He was a wide receiver turned running back. You talk about position flex, right? I mean, you bring in Nick Allegretti. Allegretti has played every single position on the offensive line, and he's played guard. So you've got a guy that does have that flex, but has also actually done really well at guard. And Allegretti, has won how many Super Bowls with the Chiefs? I mean, he's got that experience and that locker room leadership. So I'm going to go with a B with a potential for even better. But if you think about it, none of the draft players, 8 players that Rivera took in his first draft, none of them are here anymore in his first year here. All of those guys are gone. So you talk about the draft, we'll wait and see, but just talk about a waste. You can't have those draft picks just be completely gone from your team. And that's why our cupboard is so bare at this point. And kudos to Peters for restocking, because that's exactly what he's going to have to do is restock this draft with 9 picks, 6 in the top 100, and bringing in 20 free agents. And the fact that we only brought back Jeremy Reeves, Jeremy Reeves, Cornelius Lucas, and I think Jamison Crowder.
Effie.
Oh, yeah, F.A. Obata. Yeah. So, I mean, only those guys here, it makes you realize maybe those other guys, one man's trash or one man's treasure, another man's trash. You know, we'll see how it goes. But you got it right, man. It is a breath of fresh air just seeing what's being done right now. It feels like adults are finally in charge.
Yeah. There's no big splash, even though everybody says they want a big splash signing. But when you do a big splash signing now, it takes away your money. And these are solid signings. And that's what I would rather have. I'd rather have a bunch of solid players versus one big player. And let's face it, we still have an opportunity to get a big player once these other positions are taken care of. I think that's still on the table. And because there are some guys who are out there who are big names who just haven't been picked up yet.
Yeah, it'll be curious to see who's going to get cut post June 1. I mean, there's going to be a bunch of guys that are going to be out there, some different veterans. I know a lot of fans are upset they didn't bring in a tackle or just kind of a stud left tackle, because right now our left tackle, according to our lad's unofficial depth chart, is rated at that point. So I'm not, but he is what's going to happen. All I know is I don't know if I want a tackle and a rookie quarterback, assuming that that left tackle is going to be, obviously protecting that guy's blind side. But I am excited to see what we do in the draft because we got a lot of picks.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully, you and I are going to be there in the inner circle hanging out. We'll let you guys know if we make it, and definitely plan on, following the DMV Mess Hall. We're going to be having some videos and stuff from the draft if we actually do make it out there. But it's an exciting time, man, because we're not the off-season champs because we signed Kirk Cousins or the biggest, baddest free agents out there. I think we're doing it the right way for a change, and we got a chance to actually build that foundation that we sorely need.
Yeah, because it was crumbling, or it crumbled. It was really bad. And I'm so happy for Jeremy Reeves. I am. I mean, the kid, he was coming up, and then he got injured last year, and now they say that his recovery is A1. So I'm really looking forward to seeing him get another start with these new owners as well. So, well, hey, man, I hear the music playing. And one thing that we did not say is, folks, do us a favor, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. It goes a long way. It really does. And you'll be able to see where it takes us in the future with some new things coming out. All right, that's going to do it for another edition of the DMV Mess Hall. We appreciate you guys listening. Remember, you rep it hard, or you don't rep it at all. Rally Captain, Tailgate Ted. We're out.